Adrian Cole felt it the moment he stepped inside that evening. The air was wrong. Too quiet. Not peaceful, just empty. Like a room after a storm had passed and taken something with it. He placed his keys on the counter and waited for Maribel's usual greeting. It did not come. For 18 years, evenings had followed the same rhythm. Dinner smells, soft music, small talk. Tonight, the kitchen lights were off. Maribel's shoes were by the door, but her voice was gone. Adrian walked deeper into the house, his footsteps loud in the silence. Told himself it was nothing. Maribel had been tired lately. She worked more. She smiled less. Marriage changed. That was normal. But something inside him refused to calm down. He found the envelope by accident. It had slipped from Maribel's bag and landed half-hidden under the table. He would not have picked it up if his name had not been printed on it strongly. The clinic address caught his eye. His fingers tightened before his mind could stop them. Adrian opened it. Medical terms, numbers, dates, tests. Not his. His heart beat faster. Not with anger yet, but confusion. Maribel had always told him everything. Or so he thought. He folded the paper and placed it back where he found it, as if touching it longer would make the truth heavier. When Maribel finally appeared from the bedroom, she froze when she saw him standing there. "You're home early," she said. "Yes, Adrian," replied. His voice sounded calm, even to him. Maribel smiled, but it did not reach her eyes. She walked past him, busying herself with nothing, opening drawers that did not need opening. Adrian watched her closely. Her movements were careful. Her hands shook just a little. "You didn't call," she said. "I thought I would surprise you." She nodded too fast. They ate leftovers in silence. Adrian studied her face. The woman he had loved since his late 20s sat across from him, familiar and distant at the same time. Her hair was tied back, her face softer than it once was, but still beautiful to him. Yet something had changed. Her body looked different. Not heavier, just fuller, protected. "Are you sick?" Adrian asked suddenly. Maribel's fork paused midair. "What? You've been tired? You don't sleep well? You avoid wine now." She laughed softly. "I'm getting older, Adrian. So am I." She looked away. That night, Adrian did not sleep. He lay awake, listening to Maribel breathe, counting the seconds between her turns in bed. For the first time in years, her presence felt like a wall instead of comfort. The next weeks moved fast. To fast. Maribel left early in the mornings and came home late. She wore loose clothes. She avoided mirrors when Adrian was around. But he stopped, asking questions, and started watching. He noticed her flinch when the phone rang. How she deleted messages right away. How she smiled only when talking about her sister. Alina. Alina had always been fragile, younger, softer. Life had not been kind to her. 3 failed pregnancies. Endless tears. Adrian had held Maribel through many nights when she cried for her. "Sister Alina deserves to be a mother," Maribel once said. She would be perfect at it, Adrian agreed. But now every mention of Alina made his chest tighten. One afternoon, Adrian left work early. He drove without thinking, his hands guiding the wheel to a place he had never visited before. The fertility clinic from the envelope stood in front of him, quiet and clean. Glass doors reflecting the sky. He stayed in the car for a long time. Then he drove away. That night, Maribel came home with color in her cheeks. She seemed lighter, almost relieved. Adrian hated himself for noticing. "Did you see Alina today?" he asked. "Yes," she said. She needed me, always needed me, Adrian thought. Weeks passed. Maribel's body changed slowly but clearly. Now Adrian could no longer deny what he saw. He wanted to ask, he wanted to shout. But fear wrapped around his throat. Fear that once the truth was spoken, there would be no return. The truth arrived on a rainy Tuesday. Adrian was folding laundry when he found a document, hidden inside a sweater. He did not search for it. It fell into his hands as if it wanted to. Be found, surrogacy agreement, his vision blurred. He read it once, then again, each word cut clean and deep. Maribel's name, Elena's name, the doctor's signature. Dates that explained everything. The room spun. Adrian sat on the bed. The paper, shaking in his hands. His wife had made a decision that changed her body, her life, and their marriage without him. When Maribel came home that evening, Adrian did not raise his voice. He did not throw the paper, simply held it up. Her face drained of color. "How long?" he asked. Maribel's lips trembled. She opened her mouth, then closed it. Tears filled her eyes, but Adrian felt no relief, only emptiness. "Please," she whispered, "let me explain." But explanations felt small next to the weight in his chest. "You carried another life inside you," he said slowly. "Was the last to know? It wasn't like that," she cried. "I didn't betray you." Adrian laughed once, short and sharp. "You made a choice without me?" Maribel fell to her knees, sobbing. She spoke fast, words spilling out Elena's pain, the doctor's call, the chance that might never come again. Maribel felt it was her duty as a sister. How she planned to tell him, but never found the right time. "I was afraid," she said, "afraid you would say no?" That sentence broke something inside Adrian. For days they lived like strangers. Maribel slept in the guest room. Adrian stayed late at work. They spoke only when necessary. The house felt hollow, like love had been removed and replaced with quiet guilt. Adrian's anger did not explode. It sank. Deep and cold. One evening, Adrian ran into Nora Hale at a coffee shop. She was older now, lines around her eyes, but her smile was the same. Warm, curious. "Adrian Cole," she said. "I thought you disappeared." They talked at first about nothing, then about... She did not interrupt. She did not hide. When Adrian told her his marriage was breaking, Nora touched his hand. Just once. It's just enough. That night, Adrian felt seen again. At home, Maribel sat alone, holding her stomach, whispering apologies to a child that was not hers to keep. Adrian stood in the doorway, watching her, feeling two truths collide, her sacrifice and his pain. And as the rain hit the windows, Adrian realized something quietly terrifying. Love had not ended. The days moved forward, but something inside him stayed frozen. He woke up, went to work, answered emails, smiled when needed. On the surface, he looked normal. Inside, every thought circled the same question. How could 18 years mean so little to Maribel that she could cut him out so completely? Maribel tried to speak to him many times. She waited for the right moment, then lost her courage. When she did talk, Adrian listened without reacting. No anger, comfort, just distance. That silence hurt her more than shouting ever could. Her body continued to change. The pregnancy became real, visible, impossible to hide. She moved slower. Now her back ached. At night, she sat alone, one hand on her stomach, feeling kicks that filled her with mixed emotions, love, sadness, and regret. She was doing something beautiful for her sister, yet losing her husband at the same time. Adrian noticed everything but said nothing. Instead, he began spending more time away from home. He stayed late at the office, took longer routes driving, and filled his evenings with noise, so he did not have to think. That was how Nora slowly entered his life again. At first, it was harmless. Coffee after work. Long talks about books, memories, old dreams. Nora did not push. She did not ask for more. She simply listened. Adrian found himself telling her things he had not said out loud in years. He told her how lonely marriage could become without warning. How trust, once broken, made love feel unsafe. Nora looked at him with soft eyes, not pity, understanding. "You didn't deserve to be left out," she said once. That sentence stayed with him. At home, Maribel cooked meals Adrian barely touched. She left notes he did not answer. She tried. to explain again, but words failed her. How could she make him understand that her choice was not about pushing him away, but about pulling her sister out of despair? But she had made that choice alone. And that truth followed her everywhere. One evening, Adrian came home late and smelled a different perfume on his own coat. Maribel noticed it right away. Her heart sank, but she said nothing. To accuse, she was already guilty. As weeks passed, Adrian changed. He dressed better. He smiled more, just not at home. He laughed again, something Maribel had not heard in a long time. She watched him from across the room, feeling like a guest in her own marriage. Nora became the place where Adrian felt alive again. They walked together, talked until the cafe closed, shared long silences that felt safe. He did not touch her, but his heart leaned toward her more each day. He knew what he was doing, and he did not stop. One afternoon, Adrian received a message from Maribel. She asked him to come to her next doctor visit. She wanted him there. She needed him there. Adrian stared at the message for a long time, then replied with one word: no. Maribel cried in the clinic waiting room alone. Alina held her hand, thanking her again and again, unaware of the damage growing at the center of her sister's life. Maribel smiled for Alina, then went home and cried until her chest hurt. That night, Adrian did not come home. He stayed at Nora's apartment, sitting on the couch, talking until dawn. Nothing physical happened, but the closeness crossed a line that could not be erased. When Adrian finally left, guilt followed him, but so did a strange sense of control. For once, he was the one holding the secret. The power felt dangerous. Maribel felt the shift. She sensed him pulling away, slipping somewhere she could not reach. She tried to hold on, but pregnancy made her tired, emotional, slow. Adrian's world was moving fast without her. One evening she confronted him. "Are you seeing someone?" she asked quietly. Adrian looked at her for a long moment. It could have lied. Instead, he chose honesty sharp enough to cut. "I'm talking to someone," he said. "She listens." Maribel closed her eyes. The pain was immediate and deep. Still, she nodded. "I deserve that," she whispered. "No," Adrian replied. "You deserve the truth, something you forgot how to give." Her tears fell without sound. From that day on, the marriage stood on the edge. They moved around each other carefully, like strangers sharing space. Adrian continued seeing Nora. Maribel continued carrying a child that reminded her daily of her mistake. Yet neither of them filed for divorce. Something unfinished kept them there. As the due date grew closer, tension filled the house. Alina visited often, glowing with hope, speaking about baby names and future plans. Adrian watched from the side, feeling invisible in a story that had changed his life without his consent. One night, Adrian finally spoke the words that had been building inside him. "You took away my choice," he said. "So I took back mine." Maribel nodded, tears falling freely. "I understand," she said, and she meant it. But understanding did not heal the damage. The baby kicked hard that night, as if sensing the storm around it. Maribel held her stomach and whispered apologies to the child, to Adrian, to herself. Adrian lay awake in another room, staring at the ceiling, wondering when revenge stopped feeling like justice and started feeling like loss. And neither of them knew yet that the hardest moment was still waiting. Just ahead. The baby arrived before dawn, during a quiet rain that washed the streets clean. Maribel felt the pain begin slowly, then all at once. She woke Adrian with a sharp breath and one clear sentence: "It's time." There was no drama in her voice, only truth. Adrian nodded, already dressed, already distant, yet steady. They drove to the hospital in silence, the road empty, the sky dark. In the delivery room, time moved fast. Nurses spoke. Machines beeped. Maribel focused on breathing, on staying strong. Adrian stood near the wall, unsure of his place. He was there, but not part of it. That hurt more than he expected. Alina arrived crying, shaking, full of hope and fear. She hugged Maribel, whispering, "Thanks, promises, love." Maribel held her sister's face and smiled through tears. "It's okay," she said. "You're ready." Hours later, the baby cried. A strong, healthy sound filled the room. Alina sobbed with joy. Maribel turned her face away, tears running into her hair. Adrian watched it all, his chest tight. He felt pride for Maribel's strength and sorrow for what it had cost them. Baby was placed in Elena's arms. Kay Maribel reached out once, touched the tiny hand, then pulled back. She had practiced this moment in her mind, but nothing prepared her for the emptiness that followed. It felt like a door closing softly, forever. After the room emptied, Alina left with the baby. Nurses left, the rain stopped. Maribel lay still, exhausted. Adrian stood beside her bed. "You did something brave," he said. She nodded. "I lost something too." He did not argue. Recovery was quick. Life moved forward whether they were ready or not. Maribel came home weaker, quieter. The house felt strange without the tension, replaced by a deep, aching calm. Adrian cooked, cleaned, helped when needed. They were kind to each other, careful, like people handling something fragile. Nora waited. Adrian told her about the birth. He told her the baby was healthy. He told her he felt empty. Nora listened, then asked the question he had avoided. "What happens now?" Adrian had no answer. Days passed. Alina visited once, glowing, grateful, unaware of the full cost. She thanked Adrian too, calling him family, saying she could never repay them. Adrian smiled politely. When she left, the house fell quiet again. Maribel healed. Her body returned to itself, but her heart lagged behind. She spent mornings walking alone, thinking about who she had been and who she was now. She thought about Adrian every moment, about the man she loved and hurt. One evening, she found the courage to speak. "I will understand if you leave," she said. "I won't fight you." Adrian looked at her. For the first time in months, he saw her fully. Not as the woman who betrayed him, but as the woman who chose love for someone else and paid the price. "I don't know how to stay," he said, "and I don't know how to go." They sat together in silence. The next day, Adrian met Nora. He told her the truth, that he cared for her, but that his heart was still tied to a life he had not finished living. Nora did not cry. She smiled sadly. "I was never meant to be revenge," she said. "I wanted to be choice." Adrian hugged her goodbye, knowing he was losing something kind and honest. At home, Maribel packed a small bag. Not to leave forever, just space. She kissed Adrian's cheek, thanked him for staying through the hardest part, and walked out. Adrian watched from the doorway, his chest heavy. The separation changed everything. Without daily wounds, memories softened. Adrian remembered laughter, trips, late-night talks. Maribel remembered how safe she once felt. They spoke on the phone sometimes, about small things. No blame, no excuses. Months passed. One afternoon, Adrian visited Elena. He held the baby, felt the weight of new life, and something shifted. He understood then that Maribel's choice came from love, not rejection. He wished she had trusted him enough to share it. That night, he went to Maribel's apartment. "I forgive you," he said. "Not because it didn't hurt, but because I don't want to live angry." Maribel cried, not loudly, but deeply. "I'm sorry," she said, "for taking your voice away." They did not rush back together. Healing took time. Trust rebuilt slowly, brick by brick. They chose counseling. They chose honesty. They chose each other again, not out of habit, but decision. Love returned, different but real, quieter, stronger. Sometimes scars remained. Sometimes they still remembered the pain. But they learned something important. Love does not survive secrets. It survives truth.